Are you recording? So this is our fancy setup. There was a scheduling conflict, so basically I have to do the vocal recordings of the dog in our amazing recording booth. That is me under a blanket.
Obviously, we extended the deadline for other reasons than us being lazy.
Well, we're doing last-minute fixes for errors that we find. And the thing is, if you have a lot of time, you find a lot of errors. And this is, in theory, the one last shot that needs to get an animation update. We noticed something wrong with this shot. And with many of these changes, sometimes you improve something and then it gets worse. So this was one of these things.
I'm at the point where if I look at the film, every single shot has things that I would fix, but it's not really worth it because it's not like in the center of attention or something. So I went through all the things that are like actually bothering me and those are done. And at this point I should probably just leave it be.
Does CBB stand for can't be bothered or could be better?
That's a good explanation.
Both.
We're all artists, we're all very, passionate about what we're doing, and we're always, looking at our work. After a while you get numb to it, of course, and you tend to, mark everything as it could be better. It's like adding the icing on the cake. Not sure anyone would notice.
Upload.
There's the burn into image option and then...
Yeah, but it's not going to work. Bro! I'm making a tutorial and I'm making frame counter by brute forcing everything. I'm just creating one text strip for each frame and then changing the number. I have to do until here.
I know the solution, that's a lot of work.
I don't have time, bro.
Matt could probably write a script for you in a minute or something. So.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, I think if you probably shifted one frame sooner, it's gonna read better. But we all had this impression, both Michael and Andy, they were like, something is off. So I think if you shift it a bit sooner.
I'm Sander, and I'm the sound designer on the Wing It project. I've been involved with Blender projects for the last 7 years, I think, since Cabimandes, the second one. And each year it's always a fresh project with a different director, and it's always a lot of fun to work on.
So this week we did the final mix of the audio at the studio in Utrecht.
For this film we started off figuring out how far we should go into the Hanna-Barbera cartoon vibes. For instance, the rocket or the ship is made of certain materials. You want to emphasize that it has a certain weight and that it's sort of real. But still it has to be funny, so you still have to find a balance between the cartoon and the material sounds. Later on we started focusing on the nice contrast between the dog and the cat sounds. Hjalti did the dog excellent.
I am at a low point in my life where I've had almost no sleep for days now because of my 3-month-old child. And I'm mentally and physically exhausted. And I have to do some kind of vocalization for him running in and doing those twists and turns. We usually don't like dubbing. What I'm doing now is like kind of a
dubbing situation. We usually actually want to do any kind of vocalization beforehand, and then we can animate to it. Problem is, we just never had the time to do it, and the vocalization I did was done so quickly and with a bad microphone that the quality level is just simply not good enough. So we have to do it this way now. And then you do a recording, but you accidentally bonk your foot into something, and now that recording is ruined and you have to do it again. But you won't realize it until after you listen to the recording. Or the neighbors start walking in their high heels above me. Or somebody went to the bathroom next door and shut the door, and you won't realize it until you hit play afterwards and you're like, oh, what is that sound?
Man. Do you know that if there is a smart way to do a frame countdown that is not like dumb as creating each one strip each frame? I didn't do that. Can you do it?
I'll try that for you as well.
Yes,
Okay,
please.
let me open up a 14th Blender. Strip up text. You are fucked.
Tell me about it.
You cannot drive texts. So I got nothing.
Thank you for your not helping me shit.
You're welcome. I am cleaning up the pets production so that we can try to release some or all the shots and assets at the same time as the film, which is in about a week.
Yeah, if here you can see the black thing, right?
Yeah, only
Here
that.
you can totally.
But how about if I move the camera?
We need to make it look like so we're not sitting in a cave. But then where do you put the light so it's not in the camera?
That doesn't happen in 3D.
Yeah.
So much easier.
Well, in 1 minute, I think everybody comes here. We do an overview of the setup so that people see where they have to sit, so that we don't have people awkwardly walking around before. We show them this, we show them that, and then we're done.
Yeah. So what do you have to say about it? You started as a producer of the project and then changed producer halfway.
Yeah, it went super smooth. That's, I think, the best part of the project.
There was no hiccup whatsoever. It was the best thing ever.
I mean, what could be improved?
You know, this originally was supposed to be a really small project, really tiny, just in between.
It was not a short production as we assumed.
We didn't have that much more time. Ambitions just grew out of proportions. Departments were late and others were waiting for them.
Another challenging aspect of the production was, of course, the production handover that I had with Fiona. She joined the project that the production was already kind of running, and she had to take this over.
Rick and I, we were both doing the open movie in our positions for the first time, so it was kind of like figuring things out together.
Fiona was kind of pushing more forward towards actually setting ourselves goals with a certain time frame.
Having Fiona come in and actually help us with the planning and sit down with everyone and making sure that we know what has to be done, but also that we don't stray too much, like all those things. It's super, super helpful. So I'm very grateful to have her on board.
She also helped resolve it if there was creative differences. I think she very much respected that we all want to make something of quality. I think she balanced that out really well.
What I really liked was working with Rick. He's a very kind and thoughtful person. He's always trying to make things go well. He has very strong ideas, but then he doesn't want to go into a conflict.
I tend to make solutions inside of my head and not communicate it until it already has gone through a couple of steps in my head, and then it's like you expect people to react a certain way or a joke that would work, and there are a million things that I would have done differently. I would have started storyboarding way earlier and get an edit out as soon as possible, even though it's very ugly.
If you look at 2D productions, there's always a color stylist that decides what characters look like if they enter a new environment. They handpick the new colors. There's no shader that really decides what will the blue do, right?
The art style that we went for, this like 2D look, is really shading heavy, so we needed to come up with solutions to make sure that we can preview the final look of the short in the viewport as the lighting is working on it.
For me personally, this is one of the first productions where I really tried to tackle more like a 2D style. I think the process between working with Vivian, you know, in terms of design and going back and forth with Rick, it was also quite a big responsibility here at the studio within the art team, especially since I had to tackle the interior and exterior of the rocket and multiple assets.
I think working on pets was pretty challenging. Coming up with the deformation tech for it was pretty tough. I was sometimes fairly stressed out the way things are. I mean, you know, we work with unstable Blender, so that I would say is a significant part of why sticking to schedules is difficult, because the software breaks under your feet from one day to the next. That's kind of what we signed up for. That's kind of our whole purpose, right? To deal with that.
I'm not mentally stable since ages ago, so you cannot be mentally stable if you're an animator. You need to, how do you say, like release your stress somehow. Find a way that is not really destructive for your body to release your stress.
I pretty much created this wish list document about stylistic elements and took that to Simon and showed it to him and asked, can we do this, can we do this, can we do this? Well, the tech department is smart like that. They don't promise anything. They say maybe or 80%. It's stressful to not know if you can actually get the movie to look like that. I'm surprised that we didn't have to compromise, I think, anything in that term, because there was talk about making it completely flat shaded, not doing the line work. I think once we had the chair and once we had the expression test from Publico with the shading, then we knew yeah, this can be done. Andy and Bo really tried to match all the paint overs that I was producing, and that somehow worked out well. I think that's something that a lot of people coming from 2D are very interested in.
The way the films are made is probably one of the most important aspects of the films. For the Blender community and for the Blender project is the how, is the production knowledge, is the production process. That's why we do this. And we had to figure out a lot of different techniques and workflows to achieve that specific look. We are sharing, as usual, all of our production files. So you can go on the website, download the entire production setup, open it up with Blender 3.6 and actually render shots and see how everything comes together. We want to make sure that these things are shareable and reusable by anyone who is interested in using a similar pipeline to what we do. This is something for a group of people who want to build something from scratch and they have nothing. They maybe have Blender. So the idea is that you can take Blender, combine it with the knowledge and the tools that we developed here at the studio, and you can actually make a short film like Wing It. And being able to share that and make that available, that's really part of the mission of Blender and the Blender Studio.